Hey everyone, it's Michael from Fire and Brilliance, and today's episode 3 of Does Size Matter? And today's episode specifically will be comparing carats versus color. But before getting into it, I do want to take a moment and say thank you so much from the Fire and Brilliance team. We have reached 2,500 plus subscribers here on our YouTube channel, okay? And on top of that, we've reached 15,000 followers on Instagram. So if you haven't already, check out our Instagram profile. We will be doing a giveaway for reaching 15,000 followers, okay? So the details will be provided there. It's at Fire and Brilliance, all right? So with that being said, definitely hit the like button, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment below. Ask us anything. We are planning a future Q&A episode, and we'll be answering all questions, or most questions, hopefully, if not all. And, hopefully we'll be able to answer your question, okay? So I'm going to get right into it for you. All right, so what does color mean when it comes to a gemstone, a diamond, a moissanite, and so on, right? So when we are comparing, or when we are taking a look at a gemstone that is clear and, basically like a diamond or a moissanite, the way it's actually measured, or at least based on the GIA scale, or the Gemological Institute of America, which is the institution that I came from and studied about diamonds and other gemstones, is basically this chart here, all right? So it's measured, first of all, in a range, and I'll go into more specifics with you, okay? So if it's a colorless stone, then it'll be either between a D, E, and F. A near-colorless stone will fall between a G to a J. A faint yellow stone may be a K to an M. An N to an R will be a very light, kind of a warm colored tone, and then an S to a Z will be a very, a light, basically yellow. Okay, so so let me go ahead and explain to you what that means, right? So for diamonds and moissanite, other clear gemstones, usually it's preferred when it's considered colorless, right? So what does that mean? That basically means when you take a look into the stone, there is absolutely no warmth to it at all, and that's usually preferred. Now, I say this a lot, and there's a reason why I say it. There's really no right or wrong answer, because at the end of the day, beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. This is just based on the majority. What do the majority actually prefer, right? A lot of people actually prefer very warm gemstones, okay, and that's the truth. Now, but the majority prefer a colorless gemstone, so basically means that there isn't any warmth, any light warmth to it at all, and that's usually the case. Right? So that's the range. Now, when you are to purchase an uncertified gemstone that is not graded in a scale, and they say, okay, this falls under a colorless range, then usually that means between a D, E, and F. If it's a near colorless range, which means there's just very, 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 very slight warmth to it. So it's almost as if for near colorless, sometimes it's even difficult to see the warmth unless it's in very specific lighting environments. So sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't, right? And that falls between a range of a G to a J, and so on and so on. So now, if you do get it graded from a laboratory, such as GIA, then they will give you a specific grade. So in other words, if you were to send in a colorless diamond, if you will, right, that diamond may come out as a letter D, which is the highest grade of the colorless range, right? Or an F, which is the lowest grade of the colorless range. So you may ask, okay, if it's all colorless, then why is there a D, E, and F? Well, when these gemstones are placed in a laboratory such as GIA, there are very controlled lighting environments. So even though they're colorless, there are very subtle differences where, one may be more colorless than the other. It's very hard to explain unless you could actually visually see it. And because I went to GIA, I was able to understand, okay, a D definitely is a little more colorless than an F, right? Although they're all colorless because of the controlled lighting environments that is tested in, or graded in rather. Okay, so that's typically how it works. The DEF is usually preferred colorless to near colorless to faint to very light to light. These are based on the diamond scale. Obviously for moissanite, the majority of the moissanite industries falls in between a DEF to or a colorless to a near colorless. Okay, so now you may ask yourself, okay, well, if that's the case, then what about these other diamonds that are red or blue or canary yellow? Well, those are actually called fancy colors, okay? So that falls way outside of this range. This is measuring the warmth, kind of like a light yellow, a light warmth, or more or less color that looks like sun ray or sun, or outside during a sunny day, a very warm tone, right? But when it comes to a fancy color such as a canary yellow, that's the total opposite end as well. And those are usually very preferred because those are very rare, especially if it's a red diamond or blue diamond, okay? So those are fancy colors because those are very rare, but most diamonds fall within this range, and if they do fall within this range, then colorless diamonds are usually the most preferred. So again, the color of a gemstone is based on what the eye can see, right? So a DEF, we're comparing round cuts here, right? So if it's a DEF, then there shouldn't be any warmth to it at all. It should look, basically white. Clear is more of a clarity scale, but it should look white. Now, if it's a G to J, then you may see some warmth to it. Very slight if you're in the top end of the near colorless range with the letter G, and J would be much more warmth towards the bottom end of the near colorless range, right? But again, near colorless gemstones, diamonds, specifically, even near colorless is sometimes hard to see unless you're in very specific lighting environments. You have to step out on a sunny day, you may see it. You might be able to see it maybe under some fluorescent lighting inside of an office building, right? But sometimes even on a bright day, it might be hard for you to see a near colorless, the warmth in a near colorless stone. So obviously as you go down from K to M, N to R, and then S to Z, there's much more warmth. And basically by the time you get to S to Z, it looks like a light yellow. Not necessarily a canary yellow where it's really bright and yellow. This is more of like a very warm yellow, okay? So that's how it looks. But so ultimately, at the end of the day, how does this affect your pocketbook? How does this affect your budget? How does this affect your bottom line? How does this affect your purchasing decision, right? Anytime when you purchase anything, let alone jewelry, you're basically weighing out your options between purchasing item A versus item B and what it will affect you. So when you're comparing, does size matter? What we're comparing is, does the carats matter more than the color, or does the color matter more than the carats? And at the end of the day, the price matters, so that price may ultimately be the decision maker as to what you decide between carats versus color. And I'm going to show it to you right here. So how does this affect the price? Okay, so it's quite simple. As the carats go up, right, the price of the diamond or the gemstone will typically also go up, okay? As the color scale, when it goes from a light, very light, faint, near colorless to colorless, right, as that color scale moves up, the price will also go up as well, okay? So the price will be heavily dependent on the carat weight as well as the color grade, okay? Now again, the color grade, meaning colorless, is it is the most expensive option out of the bunch, okay? So what's important, and then that's when you have to ultimately decide what's important to you, right? What's important versus your budget. So some may say that, hey, I have saved enough, I've budgeted enough to afford a 2-carat diamond, but it falls within a faint scale, okay? Or I could decide between that and a 1.5-carat diamond and go with a colorless stone. So it's dependent on you. Again, some people like warmth, some people don't. If you do not mind the warmth of a diamond, then you may opt to go with the larger diamond. Then maybe carats is more important to you, right? But if you actually care about if the stone has warmth or not, and you rather prefer a colorless or near colorless stone, then you may opt to go with a smaller carat stone with a higher grade when it comes to color, right? So ultimately that's the same with all of the 4 C's, the cut, color, clarity, as well as the carat weight, okay? So it's all about weighing out what you like, what you don't like, because again, at the end of the day, beauty is truly in the eyes of the beholder, so you will be wearing it, you are the person that will be putting it on, you will be the person that will be setting on your ring, your pendant, your earrings, right? So ultimately what matters most is your taste, right? So definitely what I'm doing here is to just hopefully be able to educate you on what your options are so that at the end of the the day, when you do make that decision, it's ultimately your choice based on your budget, based on your preferences, based on your likes and dislikes, right? So I hope you really like what you saw here. We are trying to bring as much value to you as possible. We're trying to drop the knowledge. We're trying to provide as much education as possible here at the F&B Geminar. Thank you so much again for subscribing to the channel. We've reached over 2,500 subscribers. We're at 15,000 followers on Instagram. Definitely follow us again at fireandbrilliance on Instagram for a giveaway. The details will be provided there, okay, if you haven't already checked it out. But definitely subscribe here to our YouTube channel. We're trying to bring as much knowledge as possible. Definitely share our channel, hit the like button, comment below. We will be creating a Q&A session to answer all of your questions, okay? So with that being said, thank you so much from the Fire and Brilliance team, and goodbye.